say for yourself, Gunter? What do you want to say, Ezra?
All right. Good day, YouTube. How's everybody doing? Trying to get some decent light here, as I can't go outside because it's too windy. Can't get enough light inside to make it good, so we're trying to work with it. All right. Bear with me. But continuing to part 2 of our cache issue, and we talked last time about locations and kind of considerations. So here, just talk about like what would you actually put it in. There's tons of videos out there on getting these big PVC tubes and bury them and stuff like that, but that's not what most of us are going to plan for or be able or want to do. And really, is that the necessary component? I think one of the things you want to think about is taking your cache with you, having the container continue on with you as a consideration of what you choose. The 5-gallon bucket is a old standby. You can still take this with you if you don't leave it wherever you have it cached at. So that's just something to think about. Obviously, these other 2 options are man portable, but the biggest thing is they're durable. You want to get something that's durable. Obviously, you can keep out the elements as well as pests in particular. No matter where you live, you're going to have some sort of pest: chipmunks, squirrels, rats, rodents, anything, ants, whatever. You want to keep those things out. So having something that seals from the top, similar to all these, is going to be ideal. Are you going to be able to keep out a person? No. To get a locked container is probably outside of the need of most of us. If you need a locked container for your cache, you probably should have a safe, just as a thought. But, you know, the 5-gallon bucket, pretty simple, cheap. Could store a lot. If you have, one per person maybe is a good way to plan for that if you're going to do that. I don't know what's the proper word, storage container. Maybe for something like this, Home Depot, Lowe's can fit a lot of stuff, especially if you're doing a wide variety in your cache, like food, clothing, other needs, equipment, all in one. Like you can compartmentalize it in there to do that. I've seen now these buckets similar to the bigger, larger storage buckets that people get for food storage and whatnot. The smaller version is good for caches. I've seen them buried in demonstrations. An actual Coyote Works YouTube channel did one on this, and it was really good. And still has handles, still can grab and go. It's not super inconspicuous. It still has uses other than the cache. So one thing I don't like about the PVC option is it's very specific, and it seems to be limited in what you can do with it in the long term. Whereas all these, you can use them anywhere. We talked about put them in, you put this 5-gallon bucket in the back of Grandma's cupboard, the back of her closet, or any of these others, and it's not super conspicuous, and it's not super in the way. It's just another item that's there. That's why, and you can mark them, obviously, would be ideal if you had a marking system that you wanted to put for who it's for or what it's in it or whatever. Just designate your own marking system. Now, to bury these items, and really, I would encase all of them in a plastic trash bag just to double seal it if I was going to do that. Any of these containers, I would want to put a big, garden leaf trash bag over, just to provide that an extra layer of from the soil moisture and whatnot. And just once you pull it out, it's clean, you know. And again, you can take it with you. But one thing that I would want to add to any cache that we didn't talk about last time, as far as you talk about containers, is I would want to put in the container a means to carry those items in there out. I'm not always going to have necessarily your bag with you. Having an additional bag stored in there with the items to be able to at least distribute, spread load the things, I think would be wise, if not critical. It's a little hard in the 5-gallon bucket to maybe get a smaller bag than this, just to have the ability to put some things in another container that's durable and you can carry either slung over across your back. A satchel bag type deal would be good, just so you can get the items that are out put in a more portable, man-packable formation. All these, you know, your regular cache is primarily vehicle borne, while you can carry a 5-gallon bucket for a ways, but that's going to get old quick. You could sling it with rope or something and figure out something different, but ideally have the ability to take things out of your cache, put them in a bag, go with them if you need to, or maybe the container itself gets loaded in a vehicle and you have the bag separate with spread loaded your items how you want them. So just some thoughts on that, and getting your container is wherever you pre-stage them, whether overt, covert, or whatnot. To camouflage any of these is not that difficult. Obviously you can still put dirt over them and other things and they're sealed, they're not exposed to the elements, which is very important for any cache, I think. So that's just part 2. I want to talk about containers and whatnot. And one other thing, and when you think about these containers, even if they're going to be indoors, you want something that's sealable like this, because you think about it, in particular, I was thinking, if it's a natural disaster situation, tornado, flood, things like that, and you get to the place where your cache is at, whether it's in a barn or whatever, somebody's house even, tree falls on the house, tornado comes through, flooding, flood damage, it gets some flood damage, but it's not completely flooded out, and you go to grab it, you're still going to have dry stuff, still usable stuff in your container, as long as it's got a good seal on it for an indeterminate amount of time. Now granted, if it gets under the flood water, any of these could be compromised eventually, but ideally, you know, in your rain situation, tree takes out the roof, rain comes in, it's not going to phase this. You're still going to have, especially if you got clothing, food, no worries. So something to think about, even if you're going with a location that is indoors, which you think it's going to be fine, it's in here nice and dry. If it's in the root cellar or something, hey, there could be situations. Go ahead and have a good solid container for those caches in those locations. So that's the end of part 2.